Hey guys, welcome back to the show. In today's episode, we're going to talk about some improvements that I plan on making to the Tier 1 trading website, things that are going to help you stay more accountable, things that are going to slow you down, and things that are going to increase the overall success rate of traders that we work with. Don't forget, if you haven't done so already, check out www.tier1trading.com and sign up for that risk-free 14-day trial membership. Hey guys, welcome back to the Trading Coach Podcast. We're going to hop into today's topic quickly, but first want to share some good news. I just found out that we were ranked number 7th in the top 40, or I guess it's called Best 40 Trading Podcast out there. So that's pretty cool. I want to give you guys a big thank you for that because as you know, the Trading Coach Podcast is a podcast for you guys, built by you guys. So we couldn't have done it without you. So that's pretty cool. Let's see if we can move up in the rankings next year if I remember to check it. Someone shot me an email about it, so that's the only reason I found out. And it's cool because I believe in celebrating all wins. Now, today I want to talk to you about really some work that I started doing literally about an hour ago. You're hearing this in January probably, but I'm recording this in December. So I'm in that period where I'm doing a lot of continued education. I'm knocking a lot of things off of my to-do list. And one of the things that we're always trying to do is we're trying to evolve the platform. I know it seems like we've been here forever, but we only started Tier 1 trading back in 2018, and it was really a rushed start. If you don't know the story, we basically created the business in about a 6-week span. So we created a massive amount of content. We built out a website from scratch. We did all the legal stuff in the background, all in about 6 weeks. So you can imagine there were a lot of ideas that we had when we were first brainstorming that never really came to fruition. And of course, we say we're going to do them later, but our main priority is working with traders, and that takes up the majority of our time. So one of the things that we wanted to do a better job of was making sure or ensuring that people are retaining the information better, right? That's a form of accountability. Accountability is one of the key components of being successful. Not only self-accountability, your ability to be disciplined and do what you're supposed to do and hold yourself accountable. Apologize if you're hearing any clicking noises in the background. But accountability from your peers. And your peers is not just your community. We have a great community who are really good at holding people accountable for better or for worse. If you don't like tough love, then you better toughen up your skin somehow. But also as coaches. Now, the problem with accountability from coaches is that there are a lot of people on the platform. I guess even with community as well, you have to put yourself out there as wanting to be held accountable. So, for example, I tell new traders all the time, whether you're on a trial membership or a premium membership, when you get on the site, one of the first things you should do is just introduce yourself on the chat. You should be active. You should tell people, hey, this is where I'm doing, sign up for an accountability session, share your story. If you're working on something technical, specific in the coursework, share it in the chat. Say, hey guys, I'm working on double tops. Let me know if this is a good one or not. That way people can give you feedback. And again, a lot of people are nervous about doing that because none of us want to hear negative feedback. None of us want to be like, oh no, you're wrong, because it's a little bit of a hit to the ego. But if you put your ego to the side, if you're only worried about getting better, what you're actually getting is coaching, right? Think about it like this, right? You have two choices. Either you continue to practice the wrong thing and never be told that you're wrong, and then you learn a bad skill. It's like practicing something the wrong way doesn't make you better. It only makes you better at doing something the wrong way. Or you put yourself out there, someone tells you that it's wrong, maybe it hurts a little bit, but you learn how to correct it, and you get sent on the right path of practicing. And in my courses, the ones that I developed, I do a lot of pop quizzes. So in the middle of the presentation, I'll be like, hey, pop quiz, what is this? Or at the end of presentations, I'll give you a little bit of a homework assignment where I'll say, hey, before moving on to the next section, find 20 of these or find 10 of these or spend this much time doing that. And that's all done to try and hold you accountable. But at the end of the day, it's going to be up to, as a trader, are you willing to follow it? And the successful ones, I'm sure, they take their time, they go through it, they actually do the homework. I get emails all the time, hey, Akil, I've only found 10 of these and blah, 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 blah. But I'm sure there are some people that also kind of rush right through. And something I've seen in other training courses that I've taken, not for trading specifically, but for the one I'm thinking of is the track and field coaching, is that at the end of each section or end of each module, they give you a quiz. And you cannot progress in the course until you pass the quiz. And this reminds me of my first two courses, right? When I was with Trade Empowered. And at least the first one, I should say. And I always say this, right? The best way to learn is to force people to do it in the way that you feel is most productive. So when my first course came out, it was called the 12-week transformation, I think. And even the course I took with my mentor, we only ran it maybe twice a year. So you had to get in at the beginning. If you didn't get in at the beginning, then you couldn't get in at all. And I only released one module a week. So like Monday would come out and boom, here's the module for the week. You were forced to you were forced to work on the specifics of that module because you had nothing else to go to, right? When you can't jump to the next training lesson, you're like, well, I might as well just work on this one. And it was very effective because it kept people from rushing through. Now, from a business perspective, it wasn't the greatest because, you don't have sales all year. And we ended up feeling a little bit guilty because we'd have to turn a lot of people down. So someone would shoot us an email saying, hey, Akil, I like your course. I'm ready to take it. I just had 6 weeks off from my job. I want to get included. And you're like, yeah, can you wait till next April? And, people like that, they either can't wait, you feel bad, they go and find something else and they, find like a scammy person. And it was just, we found it to be better from a business perspective and from a customer relationship perspective, just to have it open all year. That way people can take the course at their leisure instead of being forced to wait for specific times. So one way of kind of blending the two is instead of just giving questions, instead of just saying, hey, what is this, what is that, and expecting people to do it on their own, is to actually put some quizzes at the end of each module. And again, this is something that we wanted to do for years and years and years. We just never got around to it because, as I'm learning right now, or being reminded of right now, there's a lot of freaking content on here, right? I'm trying to do 5 questions for each module. I just spent the last 2 hours, and I'm only on course number 2, module 2, creating all these questions. But the idea is that if you don't get past 80%, you can't move on. So in order to go from course 1, module 1 to course 1, module 2, you have to get 4 out of 5 questions right. And it's easy, like, the questions aren't going to be too complicated, and, at the end of each thing, it'll tell you which ones you got wrong. But the idea is just to give that little bit of a reminder. And maybe it's a reminder, just a refresher of something you learned in the early part of the module that you may have forgotten. Maybe it's a refresher of something that you rushed through because you thought you knew it already. So you're like, I'll just skip it. Maybe it's something you didn't know. Maybe it's something you missed entirely, right? I've gone through many of training where I start brainstorming and the mind wanders, and before I know it, I've gone through like a 30-minute lesson, but I haven't really gone through the 30-minute lesson. So it's a little bit of a pattern interrupt, just to kind of like a checkpoint, just to check and say, hey, did you learn or did you retain the things that you were supposed to? Right? If yes, then go on, move on to the next section. If no, here's a reminder of something that may have slipped through the cracks, or maybe you just say, hey, I need to go back and watch it again. So I'm excited about that, not necessarily putting together the quizzes again because it's a lot of work, but I do think it's something that's going to be helpful. I think it's going to be something that takes us back to that, maybe not as far as that once a year training course, but it does put us a little bit more active in holding our traders accountable, making sure they're not rushing through the content, especially if we decide, we haven't put the final touches on this, if we decide not to let a trader progress until they've gotten 80% on the course. But at least at bare minimum, right, if you're failing a course, and we typically deal with serious traders, I'm sure there are some kind of get rich quickers that come through the site, but we usually don't see them too often. If we're dealing with serious traders, if you're taking a quiz and if you don't get 100%, or if you get like a 60%, then that's a red flag that you need to go back and do what you need to do before progressing. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully it is helpful. Hopefully it's another way of evolving the site. We're going to combine that with some other ideas that I won't get into because I don't know if these are going to come to fruition or not, but more gamification stuff where you can get points and badges and banners and brag to everyone because you've completed this course, so you've gotten this type of level like in video games. I think that's cool just for the gamification standpoint. I think it's also cool to know who you're talking to, right? There's a big difference if you're going back to the example about putting a chart on the community chat. there's a big difference if Eric comes on and you look at his credentials and Eric's like, hey, Eric just started yesterday and he's evaluating you, versus maybe Bobby's a 5-star tier 1 general or something like that because he completed all the courses twice. So it gives you a little bit of a better idea of like, hey, this person may be being mean, or maybe being, not mean is the wrong word, maybe being kind of straightforward, but he knows what he's talking about. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Thank you again for your support of the podcast. Cheers to another quality year. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you want to spend some time on the Tier 1 Trading website, do so, www.tier1trading.com. I recommend checking out that 14-day trial membership. Get on the site, converse with some traders, join us for some live sessions, download some software, take some training courses, and a lot more during your 2 weeks. It's risk-free, so that means after your 2 weeks is done, there's no strange auto bill. Your account is just deleted. So check it out, www.tier1trading.com, 14-day risk-free trial membership.